Hey everyone, we're back for another episode of Way Out Wednesday. My name is Dr. Ashley Southard. I practice out of Scottsdale, Arizona, where I am the site director and clinical therapist at an outpatient treatment center called A New Beginning. Within our treatment center, we offer a specialty program called the Healthy Way Out, which is a program for the treatment of emotional eating and binge eating disorder and related weight issues. We offer 2-day workshops where people fly in from around the country and they learn all about how to really find a lifetime of sustainable change and recovery from emotional and binge eating. We also offer a lot of one-on-one services to people. So it's a lot of fun over here. We have a great time and really help people find lasting freedom from food. So this month's episodes, I'm talking all about very common negative beliefs that people with emotional and binge eating may have about themselves. These are things that I hear about day in and day out at the 2-day workshops that we run and also from the people that I work with individually. And one of the beliefs I want to talk about today is this sense that you can't trust yourself. I can't trust my body. I can't trust my emotions. I just can't trust myself in general. This can also take the form of feeling like you can't make your own decisions. You can't make good decisions. You don't feel smart enough. You have to keep it all in. So there's different variations of this negative belief, but at the crux of it all is an inability to trust yourself. So how does this affect you? Well, there's a lot of ways in which the mistrust that you have within your mind and your body can wreak havoc on your life. One of the things that I see that's really, really common is people with this negative belief about themselves often feel very anxious inside. And anxiety is this kind of jittery energy and worry and second guessing and doubting. And so you can feel very anxious inside, you can feel indecisive, you can feel like you're just not sure, and you can be, always wondering about something negative that might happen if I do this, or what if that happens. It can also show up in really negative self-talk. I don't make good decisions, and I'm not smart enough, and just really beating yourself up in a lot of that anxious thinking. Anxiety can also lead to feelings of kind of chaos inside of you. So you can feel like there's just a lot of emotions swimming around inside of you. And if you don't trust your emotions, you're not really going to be likely to want to let them out because you're afraid that maybe they're going to be too big, or they're going to take over, or they're never going to go away. And so all these feelings get jumbled up inside. That can feel very chaotic. You can maybe feel sometimes like you're on the verge of a meltdown, or that you're hanging by a thread, sometimes people will say. On the flip side of the same coin, sometimes when you don't trust yourself, you can also feel really detached from what you're feeling and even what you're thinking. So you may feel really numb. When people ask you how you are, you may just say, I'm fine, when really there's a lot going on inside, but you just have to stay so detached because there's a fear that if you were to attach to what you were feeling and what you were thinking, again, you don't trust yourself, so all of that might come out in a big, messy, overwhelming way. So you just really tamp it down. As a result of keeping all of this inside, whether it's through kind of this anxiety or through the numbing out, what happens is people don't really get to know you and get to know what's going on for you. And then they can't help you. And then you can feel really alone and isolated. And that's when shame can start to creep in. And as we've talked about in so many of the previous videos, isolation and anxiety and shame are all feelings that can then lead to and trigger binge eating disorder. So this negative belief of I can't trust myself can set into motion a lot of coping strategies to try to keep these things at bay. But in keeping things at bay, it ends up creating a lot of problems and the very thing that you hate the most, which is the binge eating. So, where does this belief I can't trust myself come from? Well, the good news is you're not born this way. Every baby is born with a hardwired sense of trusting themselves. So, when they're hungry, they trust that and they cry looking for food. And when they're scared, they trust that that's a real emotion and they cry looking for comfort. So, we are born with this innate tendency to trust ourselves, but somewhere in our lives, we learn, hey, I can't trust my body, I can't trust my mind, I can't trust my emotions. So think about where earlier in your life you maybe got messages that you can't trust your body or your mind or your emotions. Now, there's a couple of ways that this can happen. One of them is if you have earlier life experiences, especially as a kiddo, where others did a lot of things for you. So if you had maybe parents or siblings or extended family who did a lot for you and didn't really let you kind of learn how to do some things for yourself, you may then believe that you can't trust yourself because you didn't have those experiences where you developed a sense of competency and skill and ability. So that's one way that people can develop this belief. And of course, parents and siblings doing things for you really comes from a place of love most of the time. So these are very well-intentioned, loving family systems. And these are very good people wanting to do good things for you, but sometimes that can go awry. And, what humans need is the opportunity to do things for themselves and develop competency. That's how we learn to trust ourselves. So that's one way that maybe that belief developed. Another way is if you are in an environment as a younger person where you felt invalidated a lot of the time. So if you were feeling something and then maybe a family member or a close friend says, no, that's not what you're feeling, or you shouldn't be feeling that way, then what can happen is you can start to doubt what you're actually feeling, right? So if you're feeling anger, for example, and you tell your family member or your friend that you're angry, and their response is, you're not angry, or you shouldn't be angry, then what you will typically do as a young person is think, oh, okay, well, they must be right, so I must be wrong. Maybe I'm not angry. And that's where that doubt starts to kick in, and then it's really hard to feel like you can trust yourself. And then the third way that this can develop is if you're feeling something and in your environment with your, family and friends and whatnot, that emotion gets shut down or that belief or thought process gets shut down, that can be another way in which mistrust can develop. So if you're feeling something and you go to people and you try to enlist them in helping you with that emotion and instead they ignore you or they say, we're not going to talk about that or you're not allowed to feel that, then you're going to start to mistrust those emotions that you're getting because nobody's really guiding you through them. Again, none of this is happening oftentimes in the context of, a family that doesn't love you. This is happening in the context of a family that maybe doesn't know what to do with what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and what you're needing. So those early life experiences where you don't get an opportunity to do things for yourself and develop competency, where you feel invalidated, where you feel shut down, that can really set into motion the sense that you don't know what's going on for you and you can't trust what your body is telling you. You can't trust hunger cues. You can't trust emotional cues. You can't trust your thoughts and what you think you need to feel better. And then you take that mistrust forward into your adult life. So then you start to learn, I can't make decisions for myself. I'm going to need to look to other people. And you may recreate that dynamic where you feel like, you can't really look to yourself. So maybe you find yourself surrounded today in your life by people who do a lot of things for you, or maybe who invalidate you or shut you down. And it just kind of leaves that all too familiar pattern of, I don't know what I want or need or I'm feeling. I can't trust the signals coming from my body, and I'm not really getting the support that I need around me. So how do we start to change this? This is the most important part of this video, right? How do we change this belief that you can't trust yourself? Well, the first thing I would say is educate yourself about your emotions and about how your body works. This is something we spend a lot of time in our workshops teaching people so that they can become empowered and really understand what's happening within their own bodies. So it's important that you learn what's happening in your brain when you are experiencing an emotion, what's happening in your body when you are experiencing an emotion, what's happening in your brain and in your body when you feel hunger, what's happening in your brain and your body when you're feeling satisfied after eating. It's important to understand what that process is so that you can really trust it and then you can respond to it. So definitely learn about the body, how it works, how emotions work, how hunger and fullness works, and you're going to find that you can really start to trust those signals that at an earlier time in your life you learned to not trust. The second thing that I would say is start practicing making decisions for yourself and listening to those signals and responding to those signals. So what I mean by that is practice doing things that will help you develop trust and competence within yourself. So little things like when you go to a restaurant, make the decision for yourself, by yourself, what you're going to eat. If you don't trust yourself, you may find that you ask everyone at the table, what are you getting and what are you getting? And I don't know what should I get? And you get people's input. So see if you can slow that down a little bit and not seek out other people's input as much, and make some decisions for yourself. Start with small decisions that aren't going to have a huge impact on your life and slowly work your way up to bigger decisions. All right, so practice this. This is a skill. And the more you practice making decisions for yourself, the more you're going to see that you actually do make good decisions a lot of the time. The other thing is practice listening to your bodily cues. So practice listening to hunger and eat when you're hungry. Also, practice listening to fullness. When your body says, I've had enough, can you listen to that? Can you respond to that and stop eating? Practice listening to your body when it feels an emotion. Practice listening to your body when it tells you, I really need to go to sleep right now, or I really need to take a break, or I really need to just laugh with a friend. And can you get that need met? So practice making decisions, listening to your body, and see if you can respond. The third thing that I would suggest is when you have a feeling, work on validating that. And you can do that with a very simple little trick, which is when you feel something, say to yourself, of course I feel that way. Validate yourself. You will start to trust those signals when you validate them. So if you're feeling anger, your go-to might be, oh, I shouldn't feel anger, or it's probably not anger, or I'm probably blowing this out of proportion. But see if instead of that negative comments to yourself, can you say, of course I'm feeling anger, and leave it at that. You will start to trust that anger is valid, it's there, it deserves to be seen and heard, and then you can do something effective to respond to it. All right? Okay, so you can trust yourself, but it's going to take some practice. So make some decisions for yourself, listen to your body, and respond to yourself with those words, of course. Get some education about how your body works, and I think you're going to be feeling a lot better. All right? I'll see you back here next week for another negative belief that a lot of people with emotional and binge eating have. In the meantime, go to our website, thehealthywayout.com. Check out our 2-day workshops. If you ever want to come to Scottsdale, Arizona, and hang out with us for 2 days, I guarantee you're going to learn a ton. We offer a lot of new, fresh information. Our goal here is to get you out of binge eating disorder for the rest of your life, and we're going to give you the skills to do that. So come join us. We're heading into winter. This is the perfect time to be here in Arizona. So check it out. You can register online. It's super easy. You don't even have to interact with anyone, and hopefully we'll see you all soon. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.